Welcome in, College Baseball Central fans. We for another episode of our Let's Talk Baseball series. So we're here with TCU relief pitcher Luke Savage. Thanks for joining us today, Luke.
Yes, sir. I'm happy to be here.
Well, we appreciate it, man. Of course, I got my guy Jake McKeever here. How you doing tonight, Jake?
Just hanging in there. Loving to talk baseball on a Wednesday night. Got nothing better to do, it seems.
It's always fun to talk baseball, man. So just get one thing out of the way real quick. Our friends over at Chinook Cedary, they helped connect us with Luke, and they're kind of facilitating and sponsoring this interview. Luke, did you want to throw out your code for Chinook there?
Absolutely. Love Chinook, and you can't go wrong with any of their flavors. So my code's Savage, but anytime y'all wanna hook up Chinook, they got incredible seeds and products over there.
They absolutely do. I'm a big fan of their Hatch chili flavor. That's my personal favorite.
Yep. Oh yeah.
All right, well, we'll hop right into the questions, and so Luke, right off the bat, man, why TCU? Like, what interested you about TCU? Why was that the place for you?
I grew up TCU. Was always a big school for me. I grew up in DFW area, so obviously seeing the success TCU had was big, and then really, I took my first visit and pretty much just fell in love with the campus, fell in love with the coaches. And a big thing they preach here is just like the family mentality. It's a smaller school, but you get all of the kind of big school perks with the football team and a successful baseball program. And so they really just sold me from there. And then obviously I love Coach Sarlos. He was pretty much the selling point and why I would come here, and Coach Dakin. So we have some of the best staff in the country. And so that was really, really why I picked TCU.
So kind of to go back to your high school days, were you always the ace of the Prestonwood staff, or did that kind of come about later? What kind of is the story there with Prestonwood?
Yeah, so it's actually me and my best friend, River. So he's another reliever here at TCU. So we would battle it out to be the ace at Prestonwood. And so we started, Tuesday or Friday, whichever it was for both of us. And then both ended up coming here, have been roommates ever since. But we both pitched since freshman year at Prestonwood, and then have so ever since then.
So one of the big rivals that y'all have is Parrish, who has the completely blue turf. Was that kind of something that drove you nuts? Did you like playing on the blue turf? What was kind of the difference there?
So we never got to play on it for baseball because when they had put it in, that's when like COVID hit and everything. So we didn't get to experience it for baseball, but I did get to play on it in football. And it is just a bit of a headache. I mean, being out there and you're just like running around and everywhere you look is blue, like bright blue too. So it's definitely something different.
When did you kind of believe that you could pitch D1 baseball? Because I'm sure for every kid, the goal is to always play D1. But when did you kind of feel that you had the talent to get to the next level?
So it was probably around like my sophomore winter for me. I mean, freshman year, I was throwing maybe like touching 81 on a good day, but really just like upper 70s. And I see, a bunch of guys that are throwing 90 at the freshman level. And I feel like even harder now. And so I didn't really know what I was going to do. I knew I wanted to play college sports, either football or baseball. And then kind of as I just matured and then, grew athletically, started to gain some velo. And so I remember like the first time hitting 90 and I was like, well, I think if I keep working hard at this and I really have a chance. And so that's where I started.
So I think the running joke with every baseball player is that they wish that they were a football player. Would you have rather played D1 football or D1 baseball?
I mean, that is a tough one. I love baseball, but I think at the time it was definitely football. I thought I was going to play football, which I think my parents are happy that I didn't end up playing football because, baseball is just a little bit safer. But I mean, yeah, you can't go wrong with either.
So kind of at private school, it's a ton of, play where you lie. When did you kind of transition to a PO? And then do you ever kind of miss hitting being a PO?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, all the pitchers, I feel like we joke around with like we could take each other yard all the time. I didn't become a PO till I got to TCU, but I wouldn't enjoy hitting off the like pitchers that we have to face today. So I was more of like, low to mid 80s guy with not really good off speed, and I could hit pretty well. But I think if I was facing the guys that are pumping, 95 to upper nines, I don't think I'd be hitting too well here.
What do you think you could hit at the D1 level? What would be your batting average?
Do I get time to work on it, or just right now, straight in cold?
You get time. So pretend your career progresses out of high school and you get all the time. What do you think you would hit?
I think that I was an average guy, so I think I could hit probably 250. I think, and I mean,
250?
maybe if
Any home runs?
I'm probably popping one or two at the parks that like just the wind's just howling out there. I'm not a power guy.
So you mentioned that DFW, heavy recruited, TCU was kind of your only options. What coach was kind of always in your mailbox trying to get you to come there? Who was the one that really, really wanted you to go there?
It was definitely, I mean, Coach Salos. He was the recruiting coordinator at the time, and obviously being the pitching coach, I knew I wanted to pitch. So he was the big one, and just with his experience of taking teams to Omaha, and then also just being a major leaguer for 7 years, he was a big selling point.
You kind of mentioned Coach Sarlos and everything. What was it like being in a transition period at TCU and having one coach come in and the next year? And obviously it wasn't performance based. So what was that kind of like, when your coach kind of moves on somewhere else? How did that kind of the team take that? What was the meeting like? Just walk us through kind of the 24-hour period where that happened.
I think we all kind of suspected that something was going down just because we had been seeing stuff in the media, and it had just been like a little bit of a weird situation after we had lost in the regional. And so I think we all kind of had like a suspicion that he wasn't coming back. And then, we wished him the best. Like we found out actually through Twitter. So, like that was the first time we found out that he officially wasn't coming back. And he gave us all a call and like wished us the best of luck. So we wanted him to do well, but it was definitely, it was an eye-opening experience, just like how fast things can change. I know you see like all the time on ESPN and people are like, it's a business, and people do all these sort of things, but kind of to experience that firsthand, it was definitely it was interesting for sure.
I mean, obviously the coach transition is a big thing, but did any of the other kind of support staff, the training, anything like that, did that kind of change year to year from like a weight regiment standpoint, or did Coach Charles kind of keep that consistent with y'all?
Yeah, no, that was, I think, one of the key things that kind of kept us together is we pretty much kept the entire staff, including Coach Dakin, our strength coach, and everyone else. So the only one that left really was Coach Schlossnagel. But I mean, everything else stayed pretty consistent. So it didn't feel like it was too much of a change because we had familiar faces around, which was nice.
I guess with off season, you said the off season kind of stayed the same with everything. You didn't think Coach Sarlos prioritizes stuff over Coach Schlossnagel, or is that kind of one of the great things? They really did keep it consistent.
I would say at the core, like our culture stayed the same, but they definitely have different coaching styles. And Coach Schloss being more of an offensive and defensive mind, and Coach Sarlos being more of a pitching mind. I think it's definitely clear that they coached in different ways and kind of set up the program in different ways. But at its core, I think it was pretty similar.
Did y'all always know Coach Sarlos was going to backfill Schlossnagel, or was that kind of y'all championing for him on that side?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't know. We met, our AD was great, and he kind of let us talk and see what we wanted. And so it was great to voice our opinion. And then we wanted what Coach Sarlos or Coach Mosiello to have the job, which were the two assistants at the time. And so it was awesome that they listened to us, and we think they hired the right guy.
What was kind of the feeling when y'all got matched up with Texas A&M in that regional last year?
It was funny because it was kind of like the running joke all year, like, can you guys imagine if this happens? And then we play them, and then, it ends up like it shows in the committee show, and we're at A&M. And so I think we were all definitely super excited. I think we all liked Coach Schlossnagel, but it's always, awesome to play like a guy that used to coach you and kind of just be like, you're not with us anymore, so we want to prove to you that we still got it, that sort of thing. So it was definitely some added motivation.
Is it still kind of weird to see them? I know y'all were at the Minute Maid tournament together, and he obviously said that he came and said hi to y'all. Is it still kind of weird, or is it kind of time heals all wounds type thing?
Yeah, no, it's definitely, there's no like harsh feelings or anything like that. We wish them the best and everything, but it's definitely, I mean, it's strange because and especially for the coaches and stuff like that, when you spend so much time together with somebody and you invest so much, it's weird to see him, putting on the uniform for somebody else and doing the different hand sign and all that. So it's definitely strange.
Did y'all try and steal his signs at all when it was at that A&M series?
We did not. I mean, obviously, he's a great coach, and I think he's smart enough to not have the same ones that he had when he was here. So we didn't really go for it.
Just to kind of change gears and kind of get a little bit more lighthearted, what's been your favorite stadium to travel to in the Big 12?
Oh, that's a good one. I mean, obviously, Oklahoma State's brand new is really, really cool. But I think I mean, I think playing at UT was awesome just because it was sold out, and it's always fun when the crowds get involved. And so I'd have to say UT probably.
What's the worst one in the Big 12?
Oh man. I mean, not to throw anybody under the bus or anything, but last year I think when we played Kansas, it was pretty. It doesn't help when the weather's not great, and then also there's not that many fans, and it was kind of just like we played well, so that was nice, but that probably I'd have to say is the worst.
Which one did you prefer more, the new Arlington Stadium or playing at Minute Maid Park?
I would have to go Arlington just because the facilities are amazing. I mean, Minute Maid, it was super cool, and just like the history there, and obviously being World Series champions. But I'm just gonna put it down as humidity and just say it was too humid down in Houston, and then I'll just say Arlington. Yeah.
Well, Globe Life was a little bit more of a pitcher-friendly park than Minute Maid.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. And all the pitchers here were always like, we love Globe Life's mound. It's just like it feels like you're like on top of the hitter, and so that's really awesome.
You got to see some of the fan bases, obviously Texas A&M and then Arkansas this year. Who is the worst fan base in a good way to pitch against?
Just from my experience, so I didn't throw against Arkansas. I threw against Vandy this year, and so that wasn't too terribly bad. But just from being there, I mean, Arkansas was definitely the loudest, but I would have to say A&M was the worst just because it was like organized banter. And so they like knew what they were going to do, and the whole student section, they had it together. And it probably didn't help that it was playoffs, so it was more intense too. But I would have to say A&M.
What was kind of your welcome to college baseball moment? Obviously, you had a few spot starts as a freshman, but even in fall camp, what was kind of the, okay, this is a step up from, TAP's 6A baseball?
Oh, I mean, I don't know if I could name one. I think the big welcome to college baseball, we'd played in the tournament at Globe Life, and there was some huge fan bases there that year. It was like Ole Miss, Mississippi State, I think Arkansas too, and that was pretty crazy. But I don't think it sunk in until we would watch other teams take batting practice, and they would just put them in the second deck, and I was like, wow, these kids are legit. And it doesn't help that they're also 6'6" and 250, and you're like, I don't think I've seen somebody this big maybe in my whole life.
If you could get a chance to play at any college baseball stadium that you haven't been to, what's the one that you are trying to get Coach Sarlos to kind of schedule one out to?
I mean, I think Mississippi State would be awesome, or Mississippi State or Baton Rouge. I think either of those would be super cool to play
at. Just to kind of change gears here again, you're obviously a sneakerhead. Where does kind of your passion from sneakers come from?
I mean, I think I just loved sneakers growing up. I remember in 5th grade, I always had to have the best Kobe 6s. And so I would be online trying to get whatever drop it was. And I would go to these thrift stores with my mom and trying to get whatever. And that was kind of where it started. We would literally camp out at the mall at 4:30 to get whatever the newest drop was and all that. And so I think it started there, and then it kind of just grew. And I think it helped too that sneaker culture kind of grew at the same time. So I feel like I grew up with that version of sneaker culture, and then I kind of just stuck with it.
So, Coach Sarlos, colors aside, if you could have one shoe that you could make into a cleat and wear it, which one would you pick?
Colors aside, I think just to be original, I think it would be the Nike Yeezy, the all red Octobers. I think that would probably be it. Yeah, that, or if I wanted to go really out there, just get the original Air Mag, and just that would be pretty cool just to say that I had them.
The Marty McFlys.
Yeah, the Marty McFlys, just then self-tie, never have to tie my shoes or worry about it. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Would you go pants up or pants down if you wore the Air Mags?
Probably. I feel like pants up just so you can show them off.
Show them off.
I feel like it'd be disrespectful to go pants down, I feel like.
And then for cleat colors, if you obviously got to pick everything, what would you pick as a color for TCU this year? Would it be red, purple, white?
I think it would depend on what jersey we were wearing, but I definitely throw in. We don't have white cleats, so I'd definitely throw those in. And then I feel like you can't have TCU without having a purple cleat. So I would definitely go like a mix of purple and red because I feel like the red's a cool accent for us.
And then obviously you really probably don't get to pick the uniforms, but if you're, starting the game, what's kind of the uniform where you're like, Coach, we're putting this one. This is the best one. I feel the best in. What's your go-to uniform for TCU?
There's so many. I feel like but I'm gonna have to go just like old school creams. I love our cream jerseys. Those are simple, but I love those.
And then obviously you have this foundation where you donate a ton of cleats and sneakers back. Where did this kind of foundation kind of come about?
Yeah, so it started back at Prestonwood. So we would go a week before spring break. Everyone at Prestonwood would go on a mini semester trip where we would go and we could pick where we would serve. So people would go to like Uganda or other places, and the baseball team would go to the Dominican Republic. And it was super cool to experience that for the first time. It was just super eye-opening. And that was where it started. And we went twice. And the second time we came back was when COVID hit. So everyone was kind of just like stuck inside. Nobody knew what we were doing. And I got super close with he's like a mentor down there. He runs a bunch of baseball stuff, and he's just an incredible guy. And, we would like talk every week. And eventually he was like, we could really use shoes down here. And from being there, it was clear like people would play in flip-flops or no shoes at all. And so that's kind of where it started. I knew that I had a bunch of shoes. I feel like kids from 12 to 16, their foot grows every 2 months. And so they have to get a new pair. And so I was like, these are in good condition. And that's kind of where it started.
Alex, do you have anything?
Yeah, so Luke, kind of getting back to this season a little bit. You guys have had kind of an up and down season, good moments, not so good moments. What are the vibes like in the locker room right now?
I feel like the vibes are good. Obviously it's frustrating to be in the place that we are, where we feel like we're a really good team, but then we underperform at times. And so I think the vibes are good, and we're really just set on kind of making the most of what we have left of the season and then getting into the postseason and making a run. Because, like we saw last year, it doesn't take the number one team or the host team or anything like that. 2 teams that kind of just got hot at the right time. And so that's kind of what we're shooting for right now.
Yeah, I know for you specifically, you got hurt earlier this season. You talk a little bit about the injury and the rehab process.
Yeah, so I just had I had some like shoulder and bicep stuff going on at the 3 to 4 weeks into the season. Tried to come back. I threw well in the game that I came back, but it was kind of just lingering. And so precautionary gave me some time off, which has been nice. And then obviously rehab's never really fun, but you got to do what it takes to get back on the field. And so, our support staff has been great in helping me. And then finally got to throw again in yesterday's game, which was just felt awesome to be back on the mound. I feel like when any injury, it's always, you never know what it's going to be like when you come back. And so just to be out there again and playing with the guys is awesome.
Yeah. What's it like for you when you're not playing, you're just sitting there in the dugout during the games, what's that like?
It's really hard. I think any competitor would say that it's super hard to feel almost like you can't really help the team. That you're not going to pitch in any of these games, and that you can't really do much to help the team win. So I think it's really just kind of making the decision to do everything you can, whether it's like bringing energy or just helping the guys in whatever way you can. So I think that's what I tried to do while I was hurt. It's definitely a struggle just because, out of anything you want to be on the field and help your team win like in that way. But, just making the most of every opportunity you can, whether it's energy or, some sort of funny thing that y'all can come up with as a team to throw off the other guys. It's just whatever you can do to help.
So as a pitcher, you see all these guys around college baseball. It's kind of a big talking point right now with the bat flips and the smack talk and all that kind of stuff. What are your thoughts on bat flips and smack talk?
Yeah, I get upset when I see guys that are getting like ejected and stuff for talking smack or bat flipping. I think that they should just let us play. And obviously, to each their own. Like some guys don't do that. I wouldn't say that I specifically do that, but people let out emotion in different ways. And I would say to myself, if I get, a nasty bat flipped off me, I probably should have made a better pitch. And, in the same way that if I can yell at the guy when I strike him out, I would say, we both competed our butts off and, just the guy deserves to celebrate. He's worked hard for it, and I would say that's how I'd say. I know a lot of fiery topic and different opinions, but
we're pro bat flip, by the way. We love it.
I'm very pro. I remember when we played Oklahoma State and Riggio had like an insane bat flip against us. And in my head, I was like, obviously I'm upset because he just, hit a home run, but I'm like, respect. Like, that was pretty nice.
Well, Luke, I think that's it for us for tonight. So appreciate your time and appreciate you sitting down with us.
Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all having me on. Had a great time.
Thanks, Luke.
Absolutely.
All right, have a good one.
You too.